Friday night at the football game, before the game, of course, as a driver, you have the team there early. 2.5 hours early. And for Marietta City, they have a green space in between the middle school building and the football field. It's a heritage type facility there. And so because of limited parking or whatever, because when that football field was developed compared to today, people just kind of go with the ebb and flow. But once again, as I observe people, I'm out there on that green space, and now I'm seeing families that I was a bus driver for their children when they were here, and now some of them are playing football or cheerleading. And you just see these families getting together. Because it's a city that's a large city, but one high school, it just kind of funnels. And I'm watching over that campus, and people are just connecting. Some of them are sitting under a tent eating. Others are over here playing cornhole. Some of them over here just wanting to be there and walking around. You can see the young people just going around. The young girls were trying to impress the young boys. How many knows what I'm talking about? And the boys are just with their tongues out looking at them, and yeah. And just even for myself, one conversation led, and somebody else would walk up and, oh, you know Mr. Randy? Yeah, he was a bus driver. And on, and just the whole night of connections going on. And then as I was reading articles yesterday, there's something going on right now at the University of Alabama known as the Bama Rush. And so they have a program. This is season 4, something that just kind of evolved. And they have the NPMs. How many knows what the NPMs are? These are the new potential members of sororities. And so now, because of the medium of TikTok, anybody ever heard of TikTok? Now they got to be there, and they are wearing designer clothes, all these young ladies, because they are now wearing their OOTDs, outfits of the day. Now, for those of you that are my age on, we struggle with all these acronyms and abbreviations. But the young, they know, I've got to have the right OOTD on. Because where it was going was, and this was the caption, acceptance is everything. Well, we understand that. We understand not just in a present-day culture on a football campus. Again, these girls were vying for the privilege to get in the right sorority. And that's everything. I got to be in that sorority. I got to be seen with this group because my older sister was in that sorority and my other friends are in that sorority, and I will do whatever it takes to get into that sorority. And you say, well, I don't maybe understand that. Others would say, I totally get that. That's what I did when I was that age. And we look for a little bit closer, and then from a biblical position, we realize that we're no different. And God created us that way because we were created for fellowship. Everything about us is hardwired with that need in us. When we read stories out of the Bible that we can't really identify until something else in our time is juxtaposed against that Bible story, and they're like, oh, that's what was going on. Because we realized before sin was present on the planet, what was God's creations that we call Adam and Eve doing? They were fellowshipping with God. They were walking with God in the cool of the day. I don't know about you. I don't know how long that sequence went on. But I believe with everything in me that Adam and Eve was looking forward to, it's getting later. It's about time to fellowship with God again. Yeah. And I firmly believe that God also was looking forward to their desire to fellowship with Him. It's hardwired in us. The worst punishment on the planet is to be alienated from others. Nothing is more severe. Oh, it physically can be torturing, and yet being in seclusion is the worst thing we can do. So foundationally, we understand God hardwired us this way, and we also realize, and I want you to turn to that person next to you and say, you're a needy person. Some of you have been waiting forever to say that without getting hit. But of all the creatures that God could have described us with, Mario, in the animal kingdom, He could have chose something better than hurt our feelings and call us likened unto sheep. I mean, wouldn't we like to be lions, tigers, bears, flamingos at least? Something beautiful, something mighty. But sheep are so, say it with me, needy. Oh, somebody said dumb. That's page 2. We are needy. I know I've shared this in the past, either teaching or preaching, exhorting, whatever. Maslow's study, the hierarchy of needs. Some of you know that, you've studied that, and others, of course, you just kind of wait for somebody else to bring it up, but it's there. It's called a theory, but it's very, very telling. It's very foundational. The basic needs of our lifetime, and it begins with physiological needs. The need to survive. And so you see that in everything from the stories of heroism, the stories of somebody been lost in a desert for 3 weeks. How did they survive? They did whatever it took to find hydration, whatever it took to find shelter. That need to be in a prison somewhere as a POW and just the mindset to, one day I'll get out of here. It may be years from now, but I'm going to get back and embrace my wife or my husband. That foundational need of survival. Those needs can be met quickly and promptly in most situations. We may need water. We're very thirsty, and we'll do whatever it takes. We'll veer out of our traveling route because I need to get a bottle of water. I need to get some kind of hydration. Those basic needs are foundational, and if not met, oh my goodness, life ends, and yet they can be met quickly. But then as you start building, the next level is that of safety and again, survival, and it is all about general welfare, including employment. That we have needs to be met. And so that is something that we crave. And then we get to that third level of love and belonging. And it goes back to my stories that I start off with the Bama Rush or the Friday night football, the connections, what's happening right here, the love we have felt in the house today. And you might be sitting next to somebody that doesn't speak your native tongue, but you've enjoyed their presence today, the worship of God together. You see, it's that foundational, basic need in us. That's why even when it says, if but 2 or 3 gather in my name, I'm there, we realize, oh my goodness, just by having another person, my worship increases. There's something exponential in the growth that happens. Many of us will admit, I struggle with daily devotion when I'm by myself. But to have somebody else partner with me in a Bible study, in prayer, it just makes a difference. It's just, you think that's kind of vain, or you think maybe my motivation's not right. Maybe I'm showing off to them, and that's really probably not it at all. It is coming to the realization there's synergy there. We're hardwired that way, that love, that belonging. But you see, again, any of these can be abused. Already in just the third level of those 5 basic needs, we see that they can be quickly met. And then the longer you go into this paradigm, you realize it takes more effort. And this need to be loved and to belong is the area that if we rush into it, and many would raise your hand if I ask you to say, I've been in relationships that weren't healthy. I moved in way too quick, but there was a need driving that. So I will ask for a raise of hands. How many have ever said, I need a kiss? Oh, come on, please. Did you get kissed? Of course, it goes beyond just an initial kiss. It's like, yeah, but I don't know, I'm attracted. There's chemistry here. All the different things we talk about. Many of us that's older can remember a time when it was just understood. You go steady for a while, and then you go into engagement. And you go engagement for a long time, and you prepare for a life together. But today, it's just easier to just jump in and hope things work. Because the need is there. Why do these people do that? Because the need is there. It is real to be loved and to belong. You ask yourself, how did that person ever get involved in that group? Well, they accepted me. Because how many remembers? Acceptance is everything. I want to be accepted. I want to belong. And then it gets into the next level of self-esteem. And finally, self-actualization. It is, but you see the studies come out, 80% get to belonging and then they stop. Only 20% ever crest over that to finally get to a place where I can feel good about myself. If I ask for a raise of hands again, many of you would say, I don't know, I'm such and such years old now, and yet, I don't know, I don't like me. I'm disappointed in me, or my bucket list, I haven't even got started on that yet, and just the list just goes on and on and on. But realize it's a need to feel good about yourself. That's not self-worship. That's understanding I was created in the image of God, and that's not junk. Where are you, Pam? Give me yeah, come on. And use the word I hear you say all the time. Created in the image of God? That's pretty cool stuff. That he took time, and we go back to Psalms 139, I was fearfully and wonderfully created. In my mother's womb, he took the time to get the knitting needles out. Well, maybe not so much, but he knitted me together. Jim, he knew who you were before your parents knew who you were. Think about it. I'm putting this in there. That's why you are the way that you are. And we love you the way you are, most of the time. I can get away with that stuff. I've been pastoring here a long time. No, you need to get this. That self-actualization of this is why I'm here. I know His plans for me. I know He's got plans for me. I know He loves me. I know He wants to use me. I know that I'm not a dumb sheep. I may be needy, but I'm not dumb. He has put these things in me so that I can give Him glory, that I can serve Him, that I can tell somebody else about His goodness. He took the time to put Randy together. The fourth born, the last born of a union of Lyman and Gene Brooks. But he didn't run out of plans after Roger, Ronnie, Susan. He had plans for Randall Brian Brooks. And so it is with all of us. So then he gave us rules for living. Real quickly, we know them as 10 Commandments. Just the beginning. Most of us know by now that how foundational, again, this is. The first 4, dealing with relationship with God. the other 6 of the 10 to our neighbor. Again, you see the sign of the cross, the upward and the outward. But again, he begins off with, have no other gods before me. What does that simply mean? Put God first. You want a healthy marriage? Put God first. You want a great dating relationship? Put God first. You want to have good relationships with co-workers? Put God first. That is foundational. That gets the whole list of rules together. Yeah, commandments, heavy word, rules, but it's for living. When God doesn't get first, all the others get scrambled. Then he says, make no graven image. Oh, I'm good. I checked that box. I've never made a graven image, or have I? Again, it may not be out here with your hands with clay or stone or wood. But what is your picture of God? In the theater of your mind, the gallery of your mind. What kind of God do you have? One that's just an errand boy? Hey, I need you to do this now. Come on. The one that you cower from and hide from? Or do we realize this loving, wonderful, awesome God that is all-knowing, all-powerful, omnipresent? The one that so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son in your place so that you could be freed from the penalty of sin, that you could be set free from the power of sin, and one day he'll set us free from the presence of sin. What's your picture of God? Is he worthy in your mind? Is he almighty? Is he majestic? Is he beyond knowing in all of his ways? Or is he just another thing in your life? That's why it's a commandment and it's foundational. The third is don't take his name in vain. And we know the given there is, oh, it bothers me when somebody says a GD in front of me. And it does include that as well, but it goes even beyond that, doesn't it? Because you see, we got to think about God the right way. Yes. It leads on into the fourth. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. All this respect. He has set something in place for me to remember him, to think upon him, to reserve this hallowed time. Can I tell you, in marriage, after a while, you haven't been dating in a while because now you're married and you've got kids. How many knows what I'm talking about? But can you still date as husband and wife? Yes. I heard one, yes. And you might have busy schedules, but somehow, some way, when that partner in life comes along and realize, yes, you're super busy, I'm super busy, we have responsibilities, but we set a schedule, and we set a schedule for us. Because we remember why we got into this thing. Boy, it's quiet in here today. It is no different than remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. This thing that renews us as we've learned his other laws that keeps the planet healthy by giving it rest. But it's also this thing, but this is time reserved with him. Brother Lynn, I can remember as a little boy being in the back seat because I'm the youngest born, so I got the last seat in the car. And I could hear my father if he saw somebody out mowing grass on our way to church. Now, some of you think this is a foreign statement or a crazy statement. They shouldn't be doing that. This is the Sabbath. You work 6 days and you take off. Many of us now work in occupations we don't get that privilege. But we still have a heart and we still have a mind, and it is about thinking of God properly. and not taking his things in vain, but honoring those things. We were created. John wrote it down in the Revelation. We were created by God and for his good pleasure. Turn to somebody next to you and say the word pleasure. The world talks about pleasure quite a bit, sometimes in sordid ways, but it's a wonderful word. How long has it been since in your spirit you realize God was taking pleasure in your fellowship, in your presence? And not just in the church building, not just when we're singing, but enjoying your company. You were created by him, but also for him and for his good pleasure. I wrote this down. It was a quick thought. Maybe I haven't polished it real good yet, but this is out of the book of Randy. We have a good God doing good work, purposing in us to do good works, causing us to look unto this good God and him looking upon us and him once again saying, it is good. Good, 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 good. Every day in the 6 days of creation, at the end of the day, what was God saying? It's good. As he created us, he also included it as good. And he takes pleasure. So now I'm finally going to get to our text today. Somebody's saying, oh my God, he'll preach another hour. 2 Corinthians, as we're closing. 2 Corinthians chapter 5. I just want to read verses 17 through 21. Many of you will recognize it as I begin to read it. Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, notice the word in. If anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has passed away. Behold, the new has come. All this is from God, who through Christ reconciled us to himself and gave us the ministry of reconciliation. That is in Christ. God was reconciling the world to himself, not counting their trespasses against them, and entrusting to us the message of reconciliation. There's one of my therefores. Therefore, we are ambassadors for Christ, God making his appeal through us. We implore you on the behalf of Christ, be reconciled to God. For our sake, he made him to be sin who knew no sin, so that in him we might become the righteousness of God. I want you to stand with me.